Here in West Africa, Senegal is positioning itself as the available supplier of natural gas to Europe on the back of the Russian-Ukraine war. Meanwhile, an oil rig hired by Eco-Atlantic Oil and Gas and its partners is heading for the deep waters of South Africa for exploration. And as September beckons, a raft of high-profile energy summits are due in Senegal, South Sudan, in South Africa, and elsewhere on the continent. Now, bringing all of this and more together in our Africa Energy Week briefing is AYUK, the Executive Chairman at African Energy Chamber. Great to have you on the show tonight with me once again, AYUK.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Thank you. Now, what are some of the outcomes of your discussions at the recent Euro-Africa meetings in Lisbon?
There were some really great discussions that happened in Lisbon. One of the key issues was a lot around energy transition, and we had very staunch, very difficult, being very honest, divisions as to where we should go. We still believe that Africa should still use fossil fuels. Natural gas is going to drive Africa's future, but Europe still believes Africa should leapfrog from fossil fuels to renewables. But the hypocritical part of it is that European countries are still using fossil fuels. They are opening new coal mines and they are drilling for oil and gas, but they're telling Africans not to do it. I think with the African groups and African negotiators held firm, and we had a very firm position that we still need that. It is wrong at this time to tell Africans that they can. I think there's going to be more of these dialogues. The EU Commission Vice President is going to be in South Africa at the African Energy Week in October. We will continue those discussions there. We hope to reach into an Africa-EU pact or hydrogen pact, some kind of agreement. But any agreement that would have to say there would be no gas use, no fossil fuel use, the African Energy Chamber would walk out of the room.
Well, we'll talk about the road to the AE 2022 as well as COP27. But first, let's take a few countries' focus. Senegal is positioning itself as an alternative gas supplier to Europe. What is the reality on the ground over there?
It is going very well. They have a great president who understands the oil industry, and he has really been driving gas projects in Senegal and what they're trying to do. Mauritania, big gas discoveries there. They have worked very closely together, both governments, in getting that done. But now the real issue comes with how fast they can move. How can we fast track that? Because delays can heavily impact us, especially in this moment of energy transition and also an energy crisis looming around the world. These projects are on track, but the president continues to push everybody to get it faster than expected. But there's also other great technologies that can even move faster with fast LNG, like what you see are provided by Gola and New Fortress, bringing in floating LNGs to get it done. It's already survived in Africa. Look at Cameroon with Perenco and the Helio, with the on the Gola FLNG. Look at what Nigeria is trying to do with UTM. Senegal can learn a lot from its African partners and really drive floating LNGs, as well as looking at a train LNG. But as much as you're getting gas to Europe, they need to have a discussion about getting gas to Senegal to drive up industrialization, create jobs, and beat energy poverty in that country and in the region.
So if we go down to Southern Africa, South Africa, drilling for hydrocarbons, the news coming through was that the Eco-Atlantic has its rig heading down to the deep waters. How much do we know about this? Is South Africa set to join the rest of the continent as a major hydrocarbon producer?
Oh, this is a beautiful one. Eco-Atlantic, great company, for full disclosure, run by my good friend, Gil Holzman, really amazing guy. They are expecting to drill on the Gazania, which you're looking at the Gazania, you think these guys are so conservative. They are looking at about 300 million. I think it's somewhere around 900 to 1.4 billion, but it's good to be conservative on these issues. They are going to have tremendous success on that Block 2B in South Africa. Don't forget that is around the Orange Basin, which we saw Total Energies just had some amazing success earlier this year. with the Venus and the Graph alongside with Shell. But this comes at the right time in South Africa when the country is facing an energy crisis with load shedding, high gas prices for everything. This would take them a step closer to being energy self-sufficient and that energy security. But also big among that, I just want to explain that South Africa has faced a big crisis with drilling offshore South Africa, where you've had lawsuits blocking Shell from shooting seismics or regulatory incompatibilities that have prevented Total Energies from developing. But Namibia is doing very well. So Eco-Atlantic's movement shows more confidence in the market, but the government and the authorities need to move fast to get regulation that is going to create an enabling environment for oil and gas developers in the country.
As one country that is getting everybody's attention right now is President Tshisekedi's DR Congo, where a number of oil and gas blocks have been auctioned. What's the outlook for this country right now as it tries to remain a sustainable country with sustainable environment, very rich forests, as well as looking into the hydrocarbon industry?
They are going to produce so well. DRC is so blessed with natural resources. Them taking this foray into developing their natural gas and oil is going to do it very well. I've met with DRC authorities. I've had great conversations with them. They are going to do this in a very sustainable way. They're going to do this in a very friendly way that it is going to really drive up exploration in the country. They see a big sense to develop that. There's a lot of companies, great ESG credentials that are really looking at the DRC and say, we can develop oil and natural gas in the DRC and do it well. Look at the Kuvu gas and look at what can be done there. So natural gas around the DRC is so clean. They are going to produce it. They are going to do domestic gas, and they're also going to find ways to export it and do other things. But when it comes to oil, this is going to be Africa's next big deal. And don't bet the DRC out when you look at what they're going to do with oil. At Africa Energy Week, we're going to be talking a lot about that. But I'm seeing a lot of companies showing interest. And this is not just American or European companies, but I'm seeing African companies from Nigeria, from Egypt, from South Africa, from Angola, showing interest in the DRC. And this is so great for me as an African to see Africans competing for assets within Africa alongside European and American and Chinese company. We need to see more of that, and the DRC is leading the way, and they are going to have some great explorers exploring the DRC.
I know you spend most of your time keeping two eyes open on the energy industry, but when folks such as the U.S. Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, visits Africa, I'm sure you have an eye on that as well. So he's been in Africa in the last couple of days and is looking to brush aside the growing influence of Russia and China on the continent. He says that Africa is an equal partner to the United States. He says Africa should not depend on Russia nor China. The question is, how should Africa decide? Who should we go to bed with? Russia, United States, Europe?
We should go to bed with ourselves. That's the first thing. That's why you have the Africa Continental Free Trade Act, which is the biggest opening for intra-Africa trade. We have to do intra-Africa energy trade. We got to boost up not local content, but Africa content. We got to drive visas around Africa. Right now, it's a shame that if someone tries to come to South Africa, they can't even get a visa. That is the first person we should be in bed with ourselves, but then we should be open to everybody. We've always maintained a policy of non-alignment and alignment. But when you look at where we are right now, our relationship with the United States has not been very great, to be honest. I think the United States has taken a regression from Africa and should not only show up in Africa when it comes in times of crisis. This is a traditional partner. I wouldn't be standing here talking to you without American education, American capitalist ideas, and even American ideals with regard to limited government and freedom. Those ideas are being evaporated with what we see in these days. And we expect that the United States of America to stand strong and tall with Africans as we push towards a just energy transition. And we push towards developing our natural gas and beating energy poverty. That America that stands with us on energy poverty, beating calling for a just energy transition, increasing market, putting more money in African business. Africa is married and it was going to go to bed without America.
Okay, so we're counting down to your Africa Energy Week in Cape Town in about 8 weeks' time. Bring me up to speed on it. It's going to be a busy time from September for all of you holding various energy conferences across the continent. So, talk to me on that, AYUK, as we begin to sum it up on this conversation tonight.
Well, you need to be ready to dance. First thing we're going to do, we're going to have an Amapiano and Afrobeats concert on October 17th. We're having some of the best artists. My staff told me not to say a word so before I get in trouble. But there is going to be some really, really good artists. I talked yesterday to DJ Dollar out of Senegal. This young man is going to headline, and some amazing Nigerian artists like Kenny and all of them. They're going to be down here. So I am going to be dancing. I'll take off my cowboy boots and I'll dance on October 17th. But more to that, we're going to have some real strategic discussions about Africa. From Afro-Exim Bank coming in to Africa Finance Corporation to Blackstone and some of the big financial institutions coming in, and IFC to really have how we can finance our energy future, whether it comes to renewables, oil, natural gas, and even resources around hydrogen, which is going to be big. We've seen a huge surge of events. NNPC, Senegal, it is getting present. I couldn't be more happier going into Africa Energy Week this year than last year. But what is most important, we're going to go from Cape to Cairo. There is going to be an African narrative going to Cairo, going to Egypt. There is going to be an African position. But bigger than anything you've ever seen, there is going to be the launching of Team Energy Africa. You know, you have Team Energy Europe, Team Energy America. You're going to have Team Energy Africa. We're bringing together the United Nations Economic UNECA out of Ethiopia, Sustainable Energy for All, and your Africa Energy Chamber. We would all come together. We bring all of God's children together to drive Team Energy Africa. Africa is going to have one voice, one motive. We're going to drive, but the biggest thing, we would industrialize like nothing else, and we would make energy poverty history. And that starts in October in Cape Town, and we are going to do that at Africa Energy Week. The emotion starts there, and this is our time to make it happen.
We thank you so much for your time tonight and for your insight. As always, NJ AYUK, Executive Chairman at the African Energy Chamber. We wish you all the best and do have a great weekend. Wish you all the best.